Ant-Man and the Wasp is finally out. It's a film that many of us have been dying to see, primarily for how it will connect to the grander scheme of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, heads up everybody, major spoilers in this video. Before we jump in, let's go over a bit of a quick recap as to what happened in Avengers Infinity War, because it's pretty important for explaining what happens at the end of the film. Long story short, Thanos got all the Infinity Stones, snapped his big old fingers, and almost everyone got dusted. The original Avengers team is still alive, along with a handful of others, but half of all living things no longer exist, and Thanos was victorious. Ant-Man and the Wasp takes place right before the events of Avengers Infinity War, and for the most part, it's a pretty great feel-good movie. It also answered a lot of questions that we had concerning the major time travel theory that many have been speculating will be the answer to defeating Thanos, but we'll get to that in a minute. Without completely spoiling the plot of the film for those of you who decide to still watch this video and haven't seen the movie yet, although everything I'm about to say is a major spoiler, by the end, pretty much everything is neatly tied up in a pretty little bow. Scott and Hope are together. His relationship with his ex-wife and husband is pretty swell. His relationship with his daughter Cassie is going great. Scott and his pals have a thriving business thanks to a lot of free marketing, and everyone is pretty hunky-dory. Janet is back, and she hasn't been totally messed up by all of her time in the quantum realm, and she even has powers. And the bad guys? Well, everything is pretty swell for them too. Ghost and Bill Foster, aka Goliath, who turned out to be a baddie after all, get away, and they're going to be working for the side of good. Their whole conflict was resolved pretty neatly as well. But then the post-credit scene happens. There are two, as per usual. Let's skip to the last. The last is a pan through Scott's empty apartment, ending on a giant ant playing the drums, a shot that appeared in one of the film's trailers. But it's the first one that has many people interested, the mid-credit scene, and it's a pretty big deal. Scott is sent into the quantum realm to collect quantum energy. Once he's done his job, he then tells Hank to pull him out. But the scene cuts back to where Hank, Hope, and Janet were previously standing, and all we see is dust. This means that Scott is trapped in the quantum realm. Naturally, this raises a lot of questions. How will Scott get out? Well, the last time he was stuck in the quantum realm in the first Ant-Man film, he got out using an enlarging regulator, or rather one of the enlarging discs. It would be safe to assume that he would have one of those on him whenever traveling to the quantum realm as a backup, in case, for whatever reason, Hank can't bring him out. But for the sake of this video, and for further exploration of what we now know about the quantum realm, let's assume that he doesn't have one of those handy. Ant-Man and the Wasp has established that Hank has the technology to send people in and pull them out of the quantum realm. We also know that thanks to Doctor Strange, the quantum realm can be accessed through dimensional travel. But in terms of who is still alive and has access to a sling ring at this point is a big question mark. In addition to that, who else knows that Scott is in there? Perhaps his ex-con buddies may figure it out? But even then, to come to that conclusion would be a little unrealistic considering half of everybody else on the planet has been dusted. It would be safer for them to assume that that's happened to Scott too, assuming that all three of them also haven't been dusted. So if Scott is going to get out of the quantum realm himself, what other tools does he have at his disposal? Well, right before he goes in, Janet says something that's really interesting. She warns Scott not to go near time vortexes. While it wasn't explained what exactly these time vortexes are capable of, considering they're called time vortexes, it's not too much of a long shot to suggest that, if entered, they would transport you to a different moment in time. Determining when in time, though, is a big unknown. Now, let's jump back a little bit to that time travel theory we mentioned earlier. The time travel theory is that Scott will work with the Avengers using the quantum realm to travel back in time and alter the timeline, whether that be preventing Thanos from getting the Infinity Stones or altering something else that will help ensure their victory over the Mad Titan, and get everyone who's dusted back to not being dusted. Set photos from the Avengers 4 reshoots surfaced a while back, and they feature Scott next to Captain America, Bruce Banner, and Tony Stark. The setting is the Battle of New York, in the first Avengers film, and Cap is wearing his old suit from that movie, sporting the same haircut. Tony, on the other hand, is wearing a shield jacket, and looks arguably older, with more gray in his hair. And Mark Ruffalo is covered in motion caption gear, so we can't really make any assumptions there, can we? Anyway, Scott is present in that scene. Now, Scott at that point in the timeline hadn't even become Ant-Man yet, so that in itself fueled the fire behind the time-traveling theory. In addition to that, the characters are all sporting a fancy little piece of tech around their hands. Could this be some sort of device to help with the whole navigating the quantum realm thing? In addition to this, Cassie Lang, Scott's daughter, has been recast for Avengers 4, and the actress playing her is a 16-year-old teenager. This could prove that there is a significant time jump in between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers 4. And remember, Captain Marvel, the next MCU film, only takes place in the 90s. So nothing else, minus a potential post-credit scene from that film, won't occur between these two films. So Scott could use one of those time vortexes, but ends up arriving years later, meaning Avengers 4 could very likely take place several years into the future, like many have speculated. In terms of him working with the Avengers to use the quantum realm as means of time travel, lucky for him, he might have some help. Ghost and Bill Foster could possibly still be alive, and not dusted. And they're really the only other characters with an extensive knowledge on the quantum realm. They could be brought into the fray to work with Scott to develop that technology. likely along Tony Stark, and that could result in that hand tech. Alright, so with all that in mind, what do you guys think of that post-credit scene? How do you think Scott will get out of the quantum realm? And how do you think this will all play out into the next Avengers movie? Let us know all of your thoughts in the comments below. If you're feeling like more Ant-Man and the Wasp and all things MCU, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and check out the playlist currently flashing on your screen. In the meantime, thanks for watching everybody. I'll catch you all in the next video.